On February 24, 2022, Russia launched a large-scale military invasion of Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv, marking a steep escalation to a conflict that began in 2014. News of the invasion spread around the world to nearly universal disbelief. Most ally nations decided not to send troops, but instead lean on a series of crippling sanctions to try and deter the Russian war machine. But the proud people of Ukraine had a different strategy: to rise up, take arms, fight the invading forces, and drive back the Russians from whence they came. Even in the fog and chaos of war, thanks to social media, we've heard of countless acts of bravery and heroism, none with greater fervor than the story of the Ghost of Kyiv, a mythical Ukrainian Air Force fighter pilot who's allegedly reached ace status in his Ukrainian MiG-29 Fulcrum, becoming the first ace of the 21st century. An aerial ace is a military pilot credited with shooting down 5 or more enemy aircraft. According to unconfirmed reports, the Ghost of Kyiv shot down 6 enemy Russian aircraft in just 30 hours during the early days of the Kyiv offensive. The Ghost scorecard reads as follows: the destruction of 2 Russian Su-35s, 2 Su-25s, an Su-27, and a MiG-29. But how do we separate fact from fiction, reality from legend? Does the Ghost of Kyiv really exist? Until the dust settles, tallies of aircraft losses are largely a guessing game and a question of taking the word of defense ministries. But here are the confirmed losses so far. According to Statista, from February 24th through March 4th, Russia has incurred 33 aircraft losses, higher than the individual tallies the Russian authorities have released. Could it be that the Ghost of Kyiv actually does exist and really has shot down 6 or more Russian aircraft? Propaganda is often seen in the negative as a way to influence the zeitgeist for one's own agenda. But it works both ways. Maybe the Ghost of Kyiv never existed. Maybe he was a collection of numerous brave pilots, or maybe he did exist and passed away in the fighting. On March 2nd, the Ukrainian Air Force Command reported that a MiG-29 was lost in air-to-air combat. Perhaps that was the Ghost of Kyiv. The reality is that we just don't know. The legend of the Ghost of Kyiv grew after his post on social media, showing a Ukrainian MiG-29, supposedly piloted by the Ghost of Kyiv, shooting down a Russian jet with a homing missile. Since the post, it has been confirmed that it was actually video game footage from a game called Digital Combat Simulator World. The author of the post later stated this was a tribute to the Ghost and states, "If he is real, may God be with him. If he is fake, I pray for more like him." Then there was this post by the former Ukrainian president Petro Poroshenko identifying the person as the Ghost of Kyiv. With such strong defenders, Poroshenko wrote, "Ukraine will definitely win." It turned out that his photo was actually posted almost 3 years ago by the Defense Ministry. The pilot in the picture is doing a test flight with a new helmet. So even if that is in fact the Ghost, the picture isn't from this conflict. Then there are some who actually think they know who the Ghost of Kyiv is, and the name Vladimir Abdanov is making the rounds. But all such photos purporting to show him amidst the chaos and fury have proven to be falsified. The Defense Ministry weighed in on Twitter stating, "Dozens of experienced military pilots from captain to general previously released from the reserve are returning to the Air Force. Who knows, maybe one of them is the pilot of the MiG-29, which is so often seen by the people of Kyiv." This brings up the question, does it really matter? If the Ghost of Kyiv is actually several Ukrainian pilots who've each had an air kill or 2 instead of one man with 6, does it really change anything? And what about the Ghost's noble steed? He's said to be piloting an ironically Russian MiG-29 Fulcrum, a twin-engine jet fighter aircraft designed in the Soviet Union. In the wake of U.S. air superiority fighters like the McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle, the MiG-29 was developed by the Mikoyan Design Bureau as a rival during the 1970s and entered service with the Soviet Air Forces in 1982. The MiG-29 has 2 widely spaced Klimov RD-33 turbofan engines, each rated at 50 kilonewtons in normal operation and 81.3 kilonewtons in afterburner. The space between the engines, much like the F-14 Tomcat, generates lift, reducing the load on the wings and improving maneuverability. The engines are fed through intake ramps fitted under the leading edge extensions, which have variable ramps to allow high Mach speeds. Interestingly, due to their relatively short combustor, the engines produce noticeably thicker smoke than other fighters of the day. Early MiG-29s were very agile aircraft, capable of matching the performance of rivals like the F-18 and F-16. However, their relatively low fuel capacity relegated them to short-range air defense missions. They also lacked HOTAS, or hands on throttle and stick, the concept of placing buttons and switches on the throttle lever and flight control stick in an aircraft's cockpit. In doing so, pilots are capable of performing all vital functions as well as flying the aircraft without having to remove their hands from the controls. This deficit led many Western pilots to believe that the pilot workload was so high that the true potential of the fighter was probably never fully realized. Perhaps our Ghost of Kyiv is a genius, a computer able to perform all the flight operations of this complex aircraft while still having enough left to fully commit to situational awareness and take the MiG-29 to new heights. This is a truly unprecedented situation we find ourselves in. While we all hope with bated breath for the swift resolution of this war, one can't help but ponder the power of a symbol. For military men and women of Ukraine, the Ghost of Kyiv has become a rallying cry, a source for inspiration that the smaller forces of Ukraine actually do stand a chance against the Russian aggressors, and to the Russians, a source of fear that at any moment, lurking in the skies, might be the Ghost of Kyiv.
As ever, what strikes you about the people of Ukraine is their determination, their resilience, their spirit.